You are not alone. This is the Resistance.
Hey guys. Well, now, let's see how things are going. We're going to keep this one a little bit of fluff, a little bit of... It should be an easy share. You shouldn't be terribly offended with this video. Are you guys starting to see it yet and feel it? Can't be sure, but let's see here. If you guys pay attention to a lot of the varying forms of media on the internet now, there's a whole lot of you are the resistance. If you are hearing this, you are the resistance. There's a lot of that going on now. It's becoming very poignant. It's almost how journalism is trying to buy back its credibility. But if you guys remember, first one that ever said, if you're hearing this, you are the resistance, was John Connor in a movie. I loved using one-liners from films to identify a very large picture. You know, of course it's a piece of fiction. You guys can't honestly believe that I believe, or that anybody within this organization believes, that these movies are real. No. It's as I said a long time ago in one of my first videos. The prophets of the world of old, when they had a vision of something, they wrote it down. Or they told people. Those were the two mediums of information distribution that was available to them at the time. Let us be frank here. If Moses was walking the earth today, and that motherfucker parted the Red Sea, and we saw that on Facebook, well, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? If Moses had the informational distribution resource that we have available to us today, well, that would have been interesting. And I guess that's my point. So if there was a prophet that existed today who was otherwise unaware of his gift or her gift, they could put their visions into many, many varying forms of media in today's day. You know, people, I don't understand the people when they say things like, there's no prophets on the earth. I'm sorry, but if there was ever a time where big man upstairs or big woman upstairs had to freaking talk to us, this is really looking like one of them kinds of times. So to outright just state that the big man or the big lady upstairs is not communicating with his creation is an interesting, bold claim for those of you who subscribe to faith-based ideologies. If you believe in God, then how could you believe that he wouldn't want to communicate with us in one way, shape, or form? So that's an interesting thought. So if there was a prophet alive today, it would be through film, through social media, through internet, word of mouth. I almost believe that the days of building churches in order to teach the gospel, regardless of what you're teaching, be it the gospel of Christ within Christianity, or if you're an imam and you're teaching Islam within a mosque, the requirement of a building is becoming less and less of a necessity. Interesting thought. That's just like whatever, right? So there's an opportunity that if there was communication from upstairs, a prophet of today really could use any kind of medium to get the message out. It's an important piece of information to lock into your brain, because when we study these things and when we research these things, we tend to forget that we're researching ancient history, shit of old times, right? So, it's important. I think what's happening here, and I won't lie, I have a personal theory that I keep a running theory through my own head. I have no problems changing and altering it in order for it to fit. Just because I don't know something doesn't mean that that thing doesn't exist. The sooner I learn about something, the sooner I can incorporate it within the theory, as long as the thing that I'm taught about is actually true. That's why I don't like garbage conspiracy theories, because there's a lot of them out there, and you just can't really ascertain whether or not the information is true. And I guess that's the hallmark of a good conspiracy. It can't be proven, it can't be disproven. But the information found within it, is it more likely than not? That's what I'm always looking for. Doesn't mean that what I'm teaching you is the absolute truth, and that's the hard side about everything. It requires personal research. It requires you to hear the words that I'm saying and then do a personal research within that topic, and then to walk away with your own point of view. That's will always be our goals, for you to walk away with your own point of view, because at least now you have a point of view. Before you guys started listening to us and researching what we were talking about, you had a skewed point of view, which means you knew half-truths. So you honestly did feel like you knew what was going on. We're at a point in history where the tables are turning. The enemy's going to change. It's going to happen so fast, no one's going to realize it happened again. It's sad, okay? So when you read some of these religious texts, and if you are the type that believes that, you hear things like, I brought you peace, but when I return, I'll return with a sword. Okay? Now remember, a few videos ago, I said that there's a strong possibility that Jesus himself wasn't coming back. That we might have got that part of the teaching wrong. But if what I'm saying here is true, then it's not a bad thing. It's just that we have to accept what we're seeing. Remember when I told you a long time ago that there was one Jesus and that was too fucking many? Remember that? Okay, so what would they do with 1/3 of the world's population being individual Jesuses? They'd lose their flipping mind, wouldn't they? Okay, so he says that he's going to come back with a sword. But the truth is if we were to pay honest attention, what is the sharpest sword in the world? We all have one. Wouldn't even believe me if I told you. You're born with it. It's your gift. It's your weapon of defense. It's your tongue. What they say? Be careful what words you choose to use, because words cut deep, deeper than any blade on earth. And then when I shall, that when he would return, so he says, when I shall return with a sword. A lot of people think that that's Jesus being violent, but if you actually understand what is the sharpest sword in the world, you realize it's the human tongue, because it cuts deeper than anything out there. We learn that there's a chance, a small chance, that if my theory is correct, the Christian people of the world are going to wake up. And they're going to realize what Zionism is. And then they're going to speak out against it in such ferociousness that that sword will literally destroy Zionism. So if Jesus himself isn't coming back, but he destroys the enemy with a sword, and my theory is that he was referring to when the critical mass of the planet was Christ-like. I honestly believe that that is the return of Christ. When there's more people that truthfully and honestly behave, as he behaved, and we reach critical mass of that kind of population, I honestly believe that that is the second coming of Christ. And that we will finally take a stance and we will speak against anything that is anti-Christ in nature. Everybody's all on board with this, right? Everything's great until I bring this small point into the picture. Muslims love Jesus as their prophet. Therefore, in order to state that a Muslim is of an anti-Christian descent would be a bold-faced lie. It's important for us to know at least that. To know at least that much. Because it's Christians destroying Muslims right now. And in a theological aspect of things, we have so much more in common with them than we would like to believe. Their Quran preaches violence, we're told. We're told that. We're told the Quran preaches violence. So does the Bible. I'm sorry, but it does. The Bible teaches you how to wage a war. It also teaches you how to live in peace and harmony, but the freaking thing still teaches you how to wage a war. Okay, so don't tell us that that's not in our Western Christian civilization's religious text. Okay, for us to say that there's zero violence in the Bible, which is garbage considering there's a crucifixion in there somewhere, so to tell me that there's no violence to be found in the Bible is like me telling you that the Talmud doesn't say that you can rape a three-year-old girl or a girl 1 day less than 3. It's written in the Talmud. I can't erase it. It's there. The Jewish people live with that. Some Jews despise the Talmud. These are our friends. The Jews that do not read the Talmud, that actually despise it, they are the reason why we saved the Jews from Germany. The Jews protesting against the Zionist state of Israel in order to protect the land for Muslim Palestinian inhabitants that were originally there. Okay, guys, I'm not going to get into century-old covenants with God. I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to get into the simple things. When they left Europe, because of what happened with Hitler, they went to the desert. We even paid the trip. We helped with that transaction to make it happen. There were people there. Don't tell me there was no Palestinian or no Palestine. Okay, that piece of flippin' land was not void of human inhabitants. That's just the truth. So when you ask me who was there first, I'm sorry, but when we're returning people there, they weren't there first anymore. It was a conquered land. And I hate to be so, what one would call anti-Semitic, but in all honesty, this isn't your first go-around. Now, is it? It's not even your 10th go-around. It's not your fucking 50th go-around. Motherfuckers, it's not even your 100th go-around. Unfortunately, the Pharisees' ideological belief within Judaism, known as Zionists, have been expelled from over 109 nations on the planet. Look it up, I'm not lying. Nobody asked? Why? Nobody asks why. We can't have that discussion. Why did over 100... Okay, look. Going back to the whole biblical text, right? Isn't it written somewhere in there that it says that by the mouth of 3 or more witnesses, thou shalt know the truth? I think that's almost a direct quote. I might have did that one right. But anyway, within that nature of things, by the mouths of 3 or more witnesses, thou shalt know the truth. Okay? How about the mouths of an entire nation? That's more than 2 or 3 witnesses, right? Thou shalt know the truth by the mouths of an entire nation. Okay. Yeah, but man, what if MK Ultra got in there, man? What if they're all fucking brainwashed, man? Okay, all right, we'll play that game. So by the mouths of 109 motherfucking nations, ye shall know the truth. Is that not a fair assessment of the situation? that we're looking at here. Okay, 9/11 was one attack in the United States. Out there in the desert, 9/11's every motherfucking day. Okay? So, we're at war over there. And I honestly don't think we picked the right side. We picked the side of the people who have a religious text that describes things like Jesus. Remember when I told you Muslims love Jesus as a prophet? Yeah? Christians love Jesus as the Son of God. That's a semantical fucking difference between Christianity and Muslims, and there's a few of them to be found. But as a whole, if you ask a Muslim what do they believe of Jesus, they will tell you that he was one of the greatest prophets to ever walk the earth. They will even tell you that in their end-day stories, Jesus is also the one that comes back. He is so pure as a prophet that he will be the one that comes back and leads the armies of God against Lucifer. Muslims teach that. That's like real deal shit. Muslims teach that Jesus will be the one to return and lead everything. So do Christians. The difference is that Muslims don't believe that Jesus got off the cross. They don't believe in the resurrection. Okay? We can still be friends. They still try to abide by a Christ-like life, even though you don't realize that they're at war. And there's nothing Christian about a fucking war. Sure, we called a few of them crusades, and that still didn't look good now, did it? So now we got these things happening. So by the mouths of 109 nations, we've discovered that there's a strong population in the world that don't fucking like Zionists. And you have to ask, why? I'm not going to start spewing each and every aspect, because at that point I'm just going to look like a fucking moron. When you start researching what's written in the Talmud, you will quickly realize why I don't really preach the shit. I make sure that you know that there's very disgusting shit in it. And speaking of shit, we know that Muslims love Jesus, we know that Christians love Jesus, but in the Talmud it states that Jesus is in hell. And he's boiling with inhuman excrement. This is considered a holy, sacred text that has the Savior of the world in hell boiling inhuman excrement. I'm sorry, but it's fair to say that that's a religion I don't really need in the world. Okay? It sucks, but I don't really need that. I tend to like Jesus. Whether or not he was a super fucking human thing, or if he was just a tree-hugging hippie marching at the height of the Roman Empire, and you're going to ask me why they killed him? Jesus was the first Occupy Wall Street occupier ever. He was the first human to say, return to Caesar what is Caesar's. Give the money back and take yourself away from the system. They hid the war within a religion, which is the only way you can actually hide something. Everybody's talking about free speech, eh? Free speech in the world, free speech online. Everybody wants to protect free speech and the internet, right? Yep. Let's make it a religion. Let's make free speech a religion. Can't be that hard, can it? To make a religion and to make its primary doctrine of importance being free speech. And that should be protected by the religious freedoms laws. So, people have been hiding the idea and how to fix the world. We've been hiding this stuff within religions for millennia, for centuries, for decades, for years. We've been hiding this. So now you're forced with a question. Do we re-hide it one more time? Do we take all this information and block it back into another religion and hope that other people of the world, as they age, they'll be able to decipher the code from within it and know the enemy? Or do we just say, I'm done hiding. Let's go to war. Let's fight. Which one? Because we're apparently the generation that's supposed to decide. Not my choice. It's not your choice. But we will be asked to choose. at one point or another. Reading the Talmud will also help you understand certain segments in the Bible. Things like the words synagogue of Satan. Important information. Things like, I don't know, what's a really good one that could really pop? When you actually read the Talmud and you read the Bible and you hear Jesus say things like, forgive them for they know not what they do, and everybody thinks that he's referring to us. He's not referring to us. He's legitimately referring to the people killing him and the people like them, like that ideological construct. He's referring to the Pharisees. He's referring to what me and you today call Zionism. Jesus didn't want to go to war. The truth was probably that he wasn't ready yet. There was no Christian army yet, now was there? It's fair to say that my boy Yeshua there, he seems to have a really, really relevant military these days. Don't forget, western side of the world, Christian nations, one of the largest, most powerful, super powerful militaries in the world, United States. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Excuse me. So there's so much that we have to read and research, and yeah, guess what? Strong percent of it will be anti-Semitic. It sucks. You don't get to change history because you don't like it. You don't have to agree with us. I don't have to agree with any points or any statements, but I do have to understand them. That's how you have to live your life. You don't have to agree with us. In honesty, we'd prefer it if you didn't agree with us, because if you're actually agreeing with us, it's demonstrating how close we are getting to this nonsense at the end. Okay? So, if you agree with us, that's a scary thought. It means that we're spewing logical and rational debates, rational information, tangible stuff that you can research, and then you can be like, holy son of a bitch, this is why they've been talking like this. We're looking at a society that protects pedophiles. We don't even know that there's a religion that promotes it. Okay? That's huge. That is so huge. I think that's why we have passages in the Quran that state that even the trees and the cows and the rocks will speak to the Muslim soldier and tell him, how does this, soldier of Allah, come hither, for there is a Jew hiding behind me. Come quick and kill it. It is crazy. Okay, it is crazy. That's crazy anti-Semitic shit right there. Okay, and that's within a religious text. That is in the Quran. I can't say that it's not there. It's fucking there. Just like I can't say that there's no crucifixion in the Bible and that there's no violence in the Bible. I can't say that shit. Okay, like, it's there. We don't have to agree with it, but we do have to agree that it exists, okay? As long as we agree that it exists, then we can start looking at the people and be like, do you honestly believe this shit? No? No, you don't, eh? You like the culture of Judaism. You like going into the synagogue. But this shit here, you didn't even know that was in there, did you? Yeah. Do you honestly think this is a book that you would want your children to stumble across one day? No. We can burn this one? All right, cool, thanks. Go up to the fucking Vatican. Interesting thing enough, a bunch of smoke coming near the Vatican Library. I wonder what they're burning that day. Don't know. Anyway, we walk into the Vatican. We start looking at a bunch of Christian shit. We start finding some abhorrent, awful, nonsensical nonsense that we just should not have in a religion. We don't need this one, do we? Some pretty awful shit written here. We can burn this one? Alright, let's get rid of it. That's all it is. That's all it is. A human being using a rational mind. We can even side with the vegetarians a little bit here. We can even be like, you know what? We really should be a society that doesn't eat a whole lot of meat. Maybe we use it sparingly. Maybe we only use meat throughout the winter months to keep ourselves warm throughout that crazy cold out there. And how about throughout the summer months, we work hard to make gardens and to really grow some shit that we've never really eaten before, so we get to try it. How about we try to live a life like that? The vegetarians, may not even have to be vegetarians anymore, because there won't be a needless slaughter for protein, because the human creature available would just be like, yeah, that hamburger's a great idea, but it's not wintertime, so I'm just not going to eat meat right now. I don't need it within my system. These are unrealistic ideologies. It's a great idea, actually, personally. So, there's a lot of stuff within religions that you're going to find is beautiful. There's a lot of stuff within religions that's really going to make you scratch your head. But to outright state that certain evil, vile shit doesn't exist is wrong. To not allow the population of the Western Hemisphere, which is predominantly Christian, know that the people in Israel believe that Jesus is in hell, boiling in human excrement, that's wrong. If you're going to support an ideological belief structure and a religion with your wallet, if you're going to do that, fucking read the book. Don't blindly send money to fucking nobody. Don't blindly send money to me. Don't blindly send money to Tin Man. Don't blindly send money to Israel. Don't blindly send money to fucking Saudi Arabia. Never, ever blindly send your money to anything. Shit, you look at the dope before you buy it, don't you? Fuck people. And I know this is like so controversial, but the two countries on the Western Hemisphere, we give a combined like 6.8 billion flippin' dollars. That's with a B. $6.8 billion annually goes to a country that believes that your Savior, that the church that you go to, whether you do the sign of the cross or you don't do the sign of the cross, whether you believe He's the Son of God or whether you believe He's the prophet from Allah, these people believe that that motherfucker's in hell. That's not good. You want to talk about conflict of interest? Prime example. And that, my dear friends, is why it's written in the Bible. You cannot, A, be lukewarm, and you can't serve two masters. You know what's interesting? You could serve the God of Christianity, and you can serve Allah at the same time. It's the same thing, written ever so slightly different, spoken to on two separate continents, and meeting the requirements of the people of the land at the time. That's why these books are so different, yet so similar. But then we have this other book. So guys, Zionism is not Jewish religion. Zionism is 200 years old. It is a political movement that has hijacked Judaism in ways that we cannot even comprehend. And when it hijacked the religion, it didn't make the religion any better. It decided to go on an extreme side of things. They became religious extremists. Don't talk to me about state-sponsored terrorism. We sponsor the largest state terrorist on the planet. We sponsor Israel. That's why the Muslims attacked us. That's why. One Jewish nation smashed in the middle of a bunch of Arab nations. They were leaving it alone for a little bit at first. And then they stopped leaving it alone. Nobody asked why. 109 times exiled. Nobody asks why. The Muslims figured it out. Because you know what? Those motherfuckers probably learned a little Hebrew along the way, or they probably already had it as a second language, you know, like French, English. Yeah, they probably have Arabic, Hebrew people down there. Okay? So they read that fucking thing. Didn't agree with it. Told them to leave or change. Did not leave, did not change. Welcome to war. Now they find out, Christ, decades later, they find out decades later that the only reason why these sons of bitches are not only not changing and not moving is because we told them they didn't have to. If you'd have known what they were doing, you would have said change. But you can't, because if you say change, you're the new Hitler. Fuck. all of that noise. Fuck all of it. I'm not racist. I don't care. I don't like pedophiles. I don't. That's not a race. That's a fucking monstrosity. Okay, put that shit down. Old Yeller style. I don't care. Black, white, yellow, blue, purple, fucking slanted eyes, round eyes. I don't give a fuck who you are, what you look like, and what God you pray to. If you hurt the children, won't somebody please just think of the children? It's been said how many times in The Simpsons. When you watch The Simpsons again, and you hear Maud Flanders scream, why won't somebody just think about the children? She's referring to the fucking Talmud and what the religion allows to have happen to the children. But she can't say it. All she can ask you to do is think about the children. So if you hurt children, yeah, you're going to meet your fucking maker. And it'll be by my hand if necessary. You don't want anybody to give me a gun and say, you have the right to kill people now. Go find the enemy. Well, who's the enemy? I think you know. Okay. Get me on that plane and drop me off. There won't be a fucking thing left standing until I die. You don't want anybody to give people that actually understand what the Talmud is. You don't want these people to know fucking nothing about that and then give them a gun and then send them in the Middle East. Our soldiers have no idea about what the Talmud is, and they're protecting it. Our soldiers are going to be sick to their guts. I'll leave that one with you. Guys that are actually pulling the trigger, defending pedophiles, when they put two and two together, oh, that country may very well not exist anymore. Have a good day, guys.